How's it going, everyone? I'm SirJames coming at you guys with another lightsaber video, and this time we have one for Kylo Ren. This particular hilt in question is done up by Nexus and is installed with XenoPixel and weathered. So it's got all the bells and the whistles, of course. This hilt was acquired through Artsabers, so thanks to them, this review was made possible. And so as always, if you are interested in this hilt, or just anything Artsabers tends to offer on their website, you can go ahead and check the link down below for all your needs, of course, after this review. But yeah, as far as Kylo Ren's lightsaber goes, this is the third one that I've ever checked out in my lifetime. First one, of course, was from the Legacy lineup from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. We also have one from Vader Sabers that I think I did a review on, can't remember. And now we have this one. So first things first, let me go ahead and give you guys a closer look as I get a little bit more comfortable. It was nice and cool in here, but it's already heating up. But yeah, the saber looks really well done. I do like Kylo Ren's saber overall. Not only that, as far as the character of Kylo Ren, I like his character quite a bit. Just something about dark side. I'm always a fan of the dark side more than I am for the light side. And again, the weathering was already pre-applied, meaning I did not add anything to this whatsoever besides adding one saber font. That's the only thing I've done differently. Other than that, most of everything on here is through stock. In fact, let me go ahead and remove this before I start cooking anymore, because turning on the studio lights is heating things up quite a bit. But yeah, overall, as far as the hilt goes, it feels great in the hands. This is going to be a one-button setup, so keep that in mind. And of course, this will use a total of 3 blades. Of course, you get blades to utilize the side options, and of course, for the main blade as well. For the side blades, there are a total of 1 retention screw to hold each one in place. But as far as the upper blade section, there are 2 retention screws in total, and that's pretty much it. Now, of course, if you need access to the internal core, maybe you want to add your own saber fonts, maybe you need to charge it, this is how you go about it. So what you do is that you're going to have to remove part of this red cable, which is only this upper section. Simply bring that forward, pull that down, like so. Now, you might be noticing my cable looks a little bit weird, and that's because I accidentally forgot to remove this when I was unscrewing the top, and because of that, I tore my cable off. It's not a big deal because it's just a red cable, so honestly, it's easily replaceable. You could just remove the entire thing and replace it with a new cable, so there's a positive for that. And then you just simply unscrew this whole top section after that. Again, make sure you remove that red cable. If not, you're going to have to replace that. And replacing it should cost you only a few cents, to be quite honest. But once you do so, you're going to go ahead and have access to your removable core, like so. Here is your chassis. Easy access to the, of course, SD card there. On the other side, we have our on and off kill switch. We have our battery and USB-C charging port. I always love the inclusion of the on and off kill switch just because it's just a great thing to have that I think all lightsabers should have included, but sometimes not every saber comes with that, which is a little bit of a weird thing. And to put everything back together, you just screw back on the top. So far, every time I've reconnected the top, it's all been facing the same way. I haven't had any misalignments, which is great. And then all you do from there is you take your red cable, slide it back into that upper section, and kind of tuck the cord back in there. Which I'm going to go ahead and do right now. Just because it's a lot easier while I have it facing me. And plus, since I have my cable a little bit messed up and I have yet to replace it, I at least wanted to show that to you. So hopefully you don't make the same mistake that I do. And then you just simply, what you do with the leftover bits, again, your cable won't look like this. Yours will be a little bit longer. Mine's a little bit shorter because of my mess up. But you're just going to kind of tuck the rest right in there. If you're having a hard time doing so, you could always take some tweezers, and that would also help. And then you are pretty much good to go from there. Next up is the blades. Of course, by default, these side blades will be included with your hilts. You don't just get one, of course, you get a total of 2 of them. And here is what these side blades are going to look like. So unlike the side blades you've seen with the Kylo Crossabers I reviewed in the past, where they're all just flat, obviously you guys know that Kylo Ren Saber has more of an unstable effect, so therefore the side blades have more of an unstable appearance. The important thing to also note too, especially for those of you who are unfamiliar with ordering lightsabers, if you ever see the option where you might have the ability to order a blade or to choose the option of no blade, maybe you want to save a little bit of money, or if you're like me and you already have a ton of blades, all that is referring to is the main blade itself. So if you ever select the option no blade, side blades are always default with your hilts. It's just the main blade, that's pretty much about it. Some people tend to get confused on that, and hopefully that clarifies that. Because some people would always be worried, like, well, does that mean I won't get the side blades? Well, by default, you have to get the side blades because, honestly, I can't think of a website on top of my head where you can just, order side blades for the Kylo Ren or a Kylo Cross. And like I said, a total of 1 retention screw for each side blade is going to hold it in place. It doesn't screw into place or anything like that. All you need to do is just make sure it is fully pressed down. And the best way to know if you got it done right is just simply turn on the hilt. Boom, side blades are good to go. There you go. And we're going to go ahead and bring our main blade over here as well. Now, as far as the weathering of the hilt, kind of keep in mind that the weathering will be slightly different between each hilt, just because obviously the weathering is going to be done by hand, and I'm sure not each person is doing the weathering exactly. You're going to have the heat treatment on the side vents. You're going to have like the scratching and stuff like that all over the place, and then whatever substance they add on top of that. So I'm glad it's all unique. Honestly, it's a lot fitting for the character because Kylo Ren is not a character who I see constantly taking care of his stuff. I mean, after all, if you piss off Kylo Ren, he's just going to basically break whatever's in front of him. Doesn't matter how much it costs. And I like his little temper tantrums he have. It's always funny. So here is what it's going to look like with the side blades and the main blade put together. Again, the side blades have that more, unstable effect, while the main blade here by default, not so much. Now, are there ways to improve the main blade? The answer is yes. You could always go online onto YouTube and find ways to customize your own blade, especially if you have a spare lying around. I think one of the ways we're using hot glue and just kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but like obviously not making it perfect and a little chaotic-y. And then the other option, I believe on Etsy, is you could find something like what's called a lightsaber sleeve. Just make sure you get a sleeve that's properly fit for whatever your saber size is. And of course, after you just connect everything, if the sleeve is a little bit too long, you could always cut the excess until you get the right length to kind of give it that additional effect for the unstableness. So those are your 2 methods there. Or if you really don't care, you could just leave it like this, and hence this result. Bring that over and fire this up. Now, the other thing I like about this is the fact that you don't have to program anything. And this has the effect that you would want with a Kylo Ren hilt, where the main blade will ignite, then there's a delayed reaction, and then the side blades will react. Doesn't matter what saber font, you could even toss into saber font. You don't have to program a dang thing. It knows to do that by default. So here we go. Like I said, the Kylo Ren saber font that I'm showcasing is the only thing that I added myself, and the font is by Kyberphonic. But yeah, the Kylo Ren Hilt is a lot of fun. You just kind of like, I don't know, I just want to be in front of an expensive equipment and just like beat the living crap out of it with the saber. Just, you know, I think that probably be the best way to go about it. But as I mentioned, regardless of what saber font you're using, which this comes with over 30 fonts, by the way, it will have that delayed reaction. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with XenoPixel, one of the great things about this is, one, it's user-friendly, it's easy to get into, because things like Profi, if you want to add your own saber fonts, you have a whole learning curve to go with that. Crystal Focus is relatively a decent one as well, and so on and so on. But XenoPixel, it's mostly a drag and drop after your firmware is fully updated. You can also use the XenoPixel with your mobile phone. There's actually an app you could use, or if you're using a bit of a different length of blade, you could easily adjust it on the fly. You could easily go to whatever the fonts you're trying to get access to, and so on. Easy to update and things of that nature. Again, a lot of fun. And of course, you also have built-in features. So when you're holding down the button, depending on how long you hold it for, will initiate different things. For example, first off, let me go to a different saber font first, because I don't want to mess up my Kylo Ren settings I have.
Moonfield.
Moonfield is Sailor Moon, so we're not going to do that one.
Whispers of Power.
So there's that one. But I want a different color.
The Teacher.
Boom. So that is an example of some of the effects, which we'll touch upon in just a moment.
The Second.
Oh.
The Learner.
There you go. We'll do this one. So first things first, if you hold down the button for a mere second and let go, this will allow you to change the volume controls, like so.
Volume high. Volume low.
So this is the lowest it can go. Again, not as loud, still nice and quiet. You can still hear it if you're in a quiet setting. In a louder scenario, maybe not so much. And mute is more if you just want to practice your lightsaber swings and not wake up people in your household. You are good to go until you start fighting other people in the room, and then not so much. Go ahead and deactivate, and we're going to go back to max volume.
Volume level 100%.
That's what we want right there. Next up, if you hold down the button for a mere 2 seconds and let go, such as 1, 2.
Unstable.
This is going to change the blade type. So right now it went to unstable, which, by the way, if you're curious, let me just double check here. So yeah, it's got this kind of a weird effect. It's not the effect that I would use for the Kylo Ren style, if that's what you were wanting. There's another one called, I believe it's the Flame Blade. That's what I was using with the Kylo Ren font. It's got a much better effect than the so-called unstable, because the unstable is more like a strobe effect a little bit, just not as heavy. And again, 1, 2.
Rainbow Blade.
Rainbow Blade is basically going to be your RGB with all the different colors. Boom. Great for Pride Month, great for RGB in general, because everyone knows the more RGB you have on something, the better the frame rates, and better the lethalness of the lightsaber, and so on. The next one, we're just going to go ahead and actually change it one more time. 1, 2.
Candy Blade.
Actually, no, not that one. 1, 2.
Cracked Blade.
1, 2.
Pulse.
Let's see. Yeah, we'll do that one. That one's fine. Next up, if you hold it down for 3 seconds and let go, this is going to change the ignition type of your health, such as 1, 2, 3.
Broken ignition.
And the great thing about this too, as I mentioned, there's that delayed reaction. Regardless of what reaction style that you go with, it still has that delayed reaction for the side blades, like so. Let me just get out of frame here. And again, 1, 2, 3.
Photon ignition.
We'll do one more here. 1, 2, 3.
Stack ignition.
And It's even got that effect in there that pretty nice to have. Let's see, what was the other one? If you were wanting to change saber fonts, you could either hold down the button for 4 seconds, but it's also got gesture control, so let's see here. Okay. Nope, wrong one. I believe it was the other way.
The second.
Yeah, there you go.
The teacher. Whispers of power. Moonfield. Traitor!
Boom, just like that, and we're back to square one. Now for audio track, if I remember correctly, if you're holding it upright and you're twisting it not to the right but to the left, there we go, and then to disable. So there you go, you even have music tracks. Now the fonts by default, for the most part, I think only a couple have music tracks. But if you're adding saber fonts onto the hilt, like the ones from Kyrophonic, it's already got the music built in there. Like I said, if you're holding the hilt upright, just twist it to the left and then back over, it will initiate the audio track. And then, I don't want to play it too long because otherwise copyrights. And again, if I twist it the other way, this will enable the whole twist on reaction that's enabled by default. Like that. And opposite, if you're facing it down or just below, you don't have to be straight down, just basically anywhere where the hilt is below that 50% straight point. And again, twist it left.
The chosen.
And it will cycle through fonts that way. Or you could hold down the button like so. 1, 2, 3. Traitor! Just like that. So you can kind of go in opposite directions of that. But overall, I really like this hilt. Again, Kylo Ren is a really cool character in my opinion. I like dark side characters. Kylo Ren's a lot of fun. I tend to use him a lot in Star Wars Battlefront 2 and things like that. I like his hilt, I like his anger issues, and I also like him in Undercover Boss. If you've never seen Kylo Ren in Undercover Boss, I highly recommend checking it out. There's only 2 different episodes of that. It's a lot of fun. So if you like comedy sketches, worth checking out for sure. But what do you guys think about Kylo Ren's lightsaber? Is this something that you like? What do you think of the character? Let me know in the comment section down below. Until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know there's been a little bit of hiatus. I was still recovering from whatever it is that I had. I'm like 99.8% better. There's a little bit left over, whatever it is that I had still kind of lingering in, but not to the point where it's going to hinder my overall experience to bring you guys content. Although we are now in summer, I think, and so obviously depending on how the weather goes, if it's going to be like over 100-degree weather, I'm going to be suffering out here. If not, then hopefully I could survive the summer this time around. So hopefully it won't be as bad as last year. Until then, always remember, may the Force be with you. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the next video upload. Later.